And we are going to take you live now to Sydney, where the judgment is being handed down for Bruce Lehrmann's defamation appeal.
And is not a complete statement of the conclusions reached by the court. The only authoritative statement of the court's reasons is that contained in the published reasons for judgment, which will be made available on the internet at the court's website. This summary is also available there. On the evening of 15 February 2021, Network 10 Proprietary Limited broadcast a special edition of The Project. The broadcast was presented by Ms. Lisa Wilkinson, an experienced journalist. The broadcast concerned, among other things, a claim that Ms. Brittany Higgins, a member of staff of a federal minister, had been sexually assaulted by a senior work colleague on a couch in the minister's office in Parliament House. The colleague was later identified to be Mr. Bruce Lehrmann. The broadcast was republished on the project's YouTube channel and the 10 Play website. Mr. Lehrmann brought defamation proceedings in this court against Network 10 and Ms. Wilkinson. He claimed that the broadcast conveyed 4 imputations, the defamatory sting of which was that he had raped Ms. Higgins. Network 10 and Ms. Wilkinson defended Mr. Lehrmann's claim. The principal defence was one of justification or substantial truth. The defence hinged on them, that is Network 10 and Ms. Wilkinson, proving on the balance of probabilities that Mr. Lehrmann had in fact raped Ms. Higgins. Following a lengthy trial, the primary judge upheld Network 10 and Ms. Wilkinson's truth defence. His Honour found that Mr. Lehrmann had engaged in non-consensual sexual intercourse with Ms. Higgins in circumstances that involved, quote, non-advertent recklessness, close quote, on the part of Mr. Lehrmann as to whether Ms. Higgins had consented. Those actions fell within the ordinary meaning of rape. The primary judge also made a provisional determination in relation to damages on the assumption that, contrary to the findings that he had made, Network 10 and Ms. Wilkinson's defences had failed and Mr. Lehrmann had succeeded in proving that he had been defamed. His Honour's provisional assessment of the appropriate damages was $20,000 in total. Mr. Lehrmann brought an appeal. He essentially advanced 4 grounds of appeal. First, he asserted that the trial had been conducted in a way that was procedurally unfair to him because the details of the rape as found by the primary judge were different to the details that had been alleged by Network 10 and Ms. Wilkinson on the basis of the truth defence. He alleged those details were of a forceful and violent rape, not a rape constituted by non-violent sexual intercourse with mere inadvertent recklessness as to consent, as found by the primary judge. Second, and relatedly, Mr. Lehrmann claimed that the publications would have conveyed to the ordinary reasonable viewer of the program that the rape in question was a violent rape with express lack of consent, as distinct from non-consensual sex that occurred in the circumstances as found by the primary judge. Third, he contended that the primary judge erred in finding that Network 10 and Ms. Wilkinson had discharged the burden of proof in respect of the rape. He submitted that His Honour should instead have concluded that he was not able to make a finding one way or another as to whether Mr. Lehrmann had raped Ms. Higgins. Finally, Mr. Lehrmann argued that his claim should have succeeded and the damages award in his favour should be much more than $20,000. As explained in detail in the reasons for judgment, which will be published shortly, the full court has determined to dismiss Mr. Lehrmann's appeal with costs. The court has found that the primary judge did not err in any of the ways alleged by Mr. Lehrmann in his grounds of appeal and his submissions in support of them. The full court has found that the way in which the primary judge dealt with and determined the proceedings was not procedurally unfair to Mr. Lehrmann. The facts as found by the primary judge fell within the terms of Network 10 and Ms. Wilkinson's pleaded truth defence. Mr. Lehrmann was also well and truly aware that the case against him included a claim that he had been reckless as to Ms. Higgins' consent. As for Mr. Lehrmann's claim concerning the meaning conveyed by the publications, the sting of the imputations conveyed by the publications was that Mr. Lehrmann had raped Ms. Higgins. The full court has found that the ordinary reasonable viewer of the broadcast would understand rape as involving sexual intercourse occurring without the consent of the person, the victim, with the other person, the perpetrator, either knowing that the victim is not consenting or being reckless as to whether they are consenting. Recklessness in that context encompasses the perpetrator not caring whether the victim is consenting, either as a conscious lack of regard for whether the person is consenting or complete indifference as to whether they are consenting. The full court has found that the primary judge's factual findings concerning Mr Lehrmann's actions fell within the ordinary meaning of rape. The full court has also rejected Mr Lehrmann's contention that the primary judge erred in finding that Network 10 and Ms Wilkinson had discharged their burden of proving that he had raped Ms Higgins. This was not a case where there were two competing accounts, each of which had been found to lack any credibility. While the primary judge made some adverse findings concerning the credibility of Ms Higgins' account, His Honour nevertheless accepted key parts of her evidence about the sexual assault. In contrast, the primary judge rejected the entirety of Mr Lehrmann's account and found that he had deliberately lied in important respects. In those circumstances, it was well open to the primary judge to find that Network 10 and Ms Wilkinson had proved to the requisite civil standard that Mr Lehrmann had raped Ms Higgins. The full court has also accepted a contention advanced by Network 10 and Ms Wilkinson that, on the facts as found by the primary judge, His Honour should have concluded that Mr Lehrmann knew that Ms Higgins did not consent to having sexual intercourse. The full court has found, based on the unchallenged findings made by the primary judge, that the only reasonable inference to be drawn from the facts known and observable to Mr Lehrmann at the time he had sexual intercourse with Ms Higgins is that Mr Lehrmann did turn his mind to whether Ms Higgins consented to sex, was aware that she was not consenting, but proceeded nonetheless. The acceptance of that contention provides another basis for upholding the primary judge's finding that Mr Lehrmann raped Ms Higgins and that the truth defence pleaded by Network 10 and Ms Wilkinson had been made out. Given the findings made concerning Mr Lehrmann's grounds of appeal concerning the truth defence, the full court considered that it was unnecessary to consider his arguments concerning damages. It was also unnecessary to consider Network 10 and Ms Wilkinson's contentions concerning the provisional assessment of damages. The full court has also found that it was neither necessary nor appropriate to give detailed consideration to the arguments advanced by Ms Wilkinson in support of her contention that, if Mr Lehrmann's appeal in relation to the truth defence was upheld, the primary judge should have upheld her separate defence of qualified privilege. That defence was based on the contention that the publications concerned a matter of public interest and that Ms Wilkinson's conduct was reasonable in the circumstances. Some aspects of those contentions have, however, been addressed in the full court's reasons for judgment. Can I just emphasise again that this judgment summary, which I've just read out, is not intended to be a substitute for the detailed reasons for judgment of the court that I'm about to publish. The orders of the court are as follows. 1, the appeal is dismissed. 2, the appellant pay the respondent's costs of the appeal. I publish the full court's reasons for judgment. Well, unless there's anything further, I'll have the court adjourned.
Okay, that breaking news. Bruce Lehrmann has lost his appeal against a federal court ruling that found, on the balance of probabilities, he had raped his colleague Brittany Higgins at Parliament House in Canberra in 2019. That ruling came from a failed defamation case that Mr Lehrmann launched against Network 10 and journalist Lisa Wilkinson. In the original judgment handed down last year, Justice Michael Lee found that Mr Lehrmann and Ms Higgins did have sex, that Ms Higgins did not consent and that Mr Lehrmann was indifferent to whether she had consented. Mr Lehrmann has consistently maintained his innocence. A criminal trial against Mr Lehrmann in 2022 was abandoned due to juror misconduct. Now, repeating that breaking news, Bruce Lehrmann has lost his appeal against a federal court ruling that had found, on the balance of probabilities, he had raped his colleague Brittany Higgins at Parliament House in Canberra in 2019. We'll have more on that as it comes to hand.